What if Ashkenazi Jews have a deeper history than we ever imagined? DNA studies reveal strong connections to ancient Israel, but also surprising links to Europe and other regions. Their journey spans centuries, shaped by migrations, struggles, and resilience. How much of their ancestry truly traces back to Israel? And what hidden stories does their DNA tell? Stay with us as we uncover the truth. This video will take you deep into history like never before. For centuries, the origins of the Ashkenazi Jews have been a subject of mystery, pride, and deep historical reflection. Were they always in Europe, or did their journey begin somewhere far more ancient, somewhere sacred? Science, history, and faith now intertwine, revealing astonishing truths about the origins of a people who have carried the essence of Israel in their blood, traditions, and unwavering spirit. The Ashkenazi Jews have long been viewed as the Jewish communities that thrived in Central and Eastern Europe, known for their scholarship, resilience, and deep-rooted traditions. Their history, for many, was simply a story of migration from the Middle East, passing through Italy, France, and the Rhineland, before settling in Poland, Lithuania, and Russia. Yet, these historical records do not tell the whole story. The deeper we dig, the more we realize that Ashkenazi origins stretch far beyond the boundaries of medieval Europe. They echo back to a land of prophets, kings, and an eternal covenant, a land called Israel. With advancements in genetic research, we can now map the journey of the Ashkenazi people with unprecedented precision. DNA studies confirm that a significant portion of Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry can be traced directly to the ancient Israelites. Their genetic makeup holds markers that match those found in the Levant, the region that includes modern-day Israel. This means that despite centuries of exile, persecution, and displacement, the Ashkenazi Jews still carry the undeniable imprint of their homeland. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. While their paternal lineage, passed from fathers to sons, strongly connects them to the Middle East, their maternal DNA tells a more complex tale. Studies show that many Ashkenazi Jews carry European maternal ancestry, suggesting that Jewish men traveling through Europe may have married local women who later converted to Judaism. Was this the result of forced migration? Was it a strategic effort to preserve the Jewish faith in foreign lands? The answer is still debated, but one thing is clear. The Ashkenazi identity is a rich tapestry, woven from the threads of Israel, Europe, and centuries of survival. To understand the roots of the Ashkenazi Jews, we must go back to a defining moment in Jewish history: the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. When the Roman legions stormed Jerusalem, they didn't just destroy a building, they shattered the heart of a people. Thousands of Jews were killed, and countless others were forced to flee. Some traveled to North Africa, others to the Arabian Peninsula, and many to Europe. Yet, even in exile, they carried a piece of Israel within them: the Torah, the traditions, and the unwavering hope of return. For centuries, Jewish communities survived under Roman, Byzantine, and later Islamic rule. Some scholars believe that Jewish traders traveling along the Mediterranean helped spread their faith into southern and central Europe. Others suggest that Jewish communities in places like Italy and Spain maintained strong ties with their brethren in the Levant. Regardless of the path, the connection to Israel was never severed. By the Middle Ages, the Ashkenazi Jews had established thriving communities across the European continent. From the great yeshivas of Germany to the bustling marketplaces of Poland, they built a civilization rooted in Torah study, intellectual debate, and deep spiritual resilience. Yet, they were never fully accepted. Forced into ghettos, burdened with oppressive laws, and facing waves of persecution, the Ashkenazi Jews endured hardship after hardship. But through it all, they never forgot where they came from. Even as they spoke Yiddish, a language influenced by German, Hebrew remained the language of prayer. Even as they adopted European customs, they maintained strict adherence to Jewish law. Every Passover, they repeated the words, "Next year in Jerusalem,"
Every wedding ceremony echoed with the breaking of a glass, a reminder of the destruction of the temple and the longing for their homeland. No matter how many generations passed, the memory of Israel burned bright.
One of the most debated theories regarding Ashkenazi origins is the Khazar hypothesis. According to this controversial idea, some Ashkenazi Jews may have descended from the Khazars, a Turkic people who ruled over a vast kingdom in the Caucasus region between the 7th and 10th centuries. Historical records suggest that the Khazar elite converted to Judaism, leading some to speculate that their descendants eventually became part of the Ashkenazi Jewish population. The question of identity is one of the most fundamental aspects of human existence. Who are we? Where do we come from? For the Ashkenazi Jews, these questions have been debated for centuries. Were they simply European Jews, shaped by the cultures they lived among? Or did their origins trace back to something much older, something rooted in the soil of ancient Israel? Now, with the power of modern genetics, we can finally uncover the truth. And what we've found is more astonishing than anyone could have imagined. For decades, historians and archaeologists have tried to piece together the origins of the Ashkenazi Jews. Written records, migration patterns, and linguistic studies provided some answers, but the full picture remained incomplete. Then came the breakthrough: DNA analysis. With the ability to trace ancestry through genetic markers, scientists could now go beyond speculation and uncover concrete evidence about where these people truly came from. The results were both affirming and surprising. A significant portion of Ashkenazi Jewish DNA links directly to the ancient Israelites. Their genetic markers match those found in the Levant, the region that includes modern-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria. This means that despite centuries of exile, war, and forced migration, the Ashkenazi Jews carry within them the undeniable imprint of their homeland. But that's just the beginning of the story. As scientists delved deeper into the genetic makeup of Ashkenazi Jews, they discovered something unexpected. While their paternal lineage, passed from fathers to sons, overwhelmingly traces back to the Middle East, their maternal DNA tells a different story. One of the most debated findings in genetic studies of Ashkenazi Jews is the origin of their maternal lineage. Unlike their Y chromosome DNA, which closely resembles that of Middle Eastern populations, a large percentage of their mitochondrial DNA, passed from mothers to children, shows European ancestry. How could this be? The most widely accepted theory is that when Jewish men migrated into Europe, particularly through Italy, France, and Germany, they intermarried with local women. These women, in many cases, converted to Judaism, raising their children in Jewish traditions while carrying non-Middle Eastern DNA. Over generations, this mixture of genes shaped the unique Ashkenazi genetic identity. But despite this maternal influence, the Ashkenazi Jews remained connected to their ancient roots. This raises a profound question. Does DNA alone define identity? The Ashkenazi Jews carried European genetic markers, but their faith, traditions, and cultural heritage remained deeply tied to Israel. Every Passover, they longed for Jerusalem. Every Sabbath, they recited prayers in Hebrew, the language of their ancestors. Even as they walked the streets of Poland or Germany, their hearts belonged to Zion. To truly understand the genetic makeup of Ashkenazi Jews, let's break down the numbers. Studies show that around 50 to 60% of Ashkenazi Jewish Y-DNA, paternal lineage, originates from the Middle East, directly linking them to ancient Israelites. Approximately 30 to 40% of their mitochondrial DNA, maternal lineage, is of European origin, suggesting intermarriage with local women in Europe. The remaining DNA comes from various minor influences, including small traces from the Caucasus region and other areas. What does this tell us? It tells us that while Ashkenazi Jews adapted to new lands, their identity remained firmly tied to Israel. Their fathers passed down the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Their traditions, laws, and customs reflected those of their ancestors. And through it all, they never forgot where they came from.
To understand the significance of these DNA findings, we must look back at history. In 70 CE, the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans marked one of the most tragic moments in Jewish history. Thousands of Jews were slaughtered, and countless others were taken as slaves or forced into exile. Some fled to North Africa, others to the Arabian Peninsula, and many to Europe. Yet, no matter how far they wandered, they carried the legacy of Israel within them. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell. Yet, despite waves of persecution, ghettos, and forced conversions, the Ashkenazi Jews held on to their faith. Their very existence became an act of defiance, a testament to their resilience. And now, as modern science catches up with history, their DNA confirms what they always knew. They were never just Europeans. They were the children of Israel. As the genetic journey of the Ashkenazi Jews unfolds, one unexpected twist emerges, one that has sparked fierce debate among historians, scientists, and communities across the world. Could it be that their ancestry is more complex than previously thought? And what do these findings mean for their undeniable connection to Israel? For decades, an alternative theory has lingered in discussions about Ashkenazi Jewish origins, the Khazar theory. It suggests that rather than descending from the ancient Israelites, Ashkenazi Jews primarily originate from the Khazars, a Turkic people who ruled over a vast empire in the Caucasus region during the 7th to 10th centuries. According to this theory, the Khazars converted to Judaism, and their descendants later formed the bulk of the Ashkenazi Jewish population in Europe. This theory has been controversial, stirring heated debates and even fueling political and ideological disputes. Some claim that if the Ashkenazi Jews are not primarily of Israelite descent, their historical claim to Israel weakens. Others argue that their Jewish identity is based on faith, culture, and history, not just DNA. But does modern science support this claim? The answer is a resounding no. Genetic studies have overwhelmingly debunked the Khazar theory. Research shows that Ashkenazi Jewish DNA has only minor traces of Central Asian ancestry, far too little to support the idea that they descend primarily from Khazars. Instead, their genetic roots remain deeply tied to the Middle East, particularly to ancient Israel. Their Y chromosomal DNA, passed from father to son, closely matches that of Middle Eastern populations, including modern-day Jewish communities in Israel, the Levant, and even certain Arab populations. This directly links them to the ancient Israelites, reinforcing the long-standing belief that Ashkenazi Jews are, indeed, part of the Jewish diaspora. So why does the Khazar theory persist? It gained traction in the 19th and 20th centuries, largely due to political motives rather than scientific evidence. Some sought to challenge Jewish historical claims to Israel, while others used it as a way to explain the European presence in Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry. However, modern genetics has put this debate to rest. Ashkenazi Jews are, without question, connected to Israel. While paternal lineage clearly points to Israel, the story becomes even more intriguing when we examine mitochondrial DNA, the genetic material passed down from mothers to their children. This is where an unexpected revelation comes into play. Studies show that while Ashkenazi Jewish men have strong genetic ties to the Middle East, a significant portion of their maternal DNA traces back to Europe. How is this possible? The most widely accepted explanation is that as Jewish men migrated into Europe, particularly through Italy and the Rhineland, they intermarried with local women. Many of these women converted to Judaism and adopted Jewish customs, passing them down to their children. Over generations, this led to a blending of European maternal lineage with Israelite paternal ancestry. But does this European influence change the core identity of the Ashkenazi Jews? Absolutely not. Despite their maternal genetic markers showing European origins, their cultural, religious, and historical identity remained rooted in Israel. For centuries, Ashkenazi Jews continued to observe Jewish laws, pray toward Jerusalem, and long for the day they could return to their ancestral homeland. Their genetic makeup may have evolved through migration and survival, but their connection to Israel never wavered. If DNA has taught us anything, it's that Jewish history is full of surprises. One of the most astonishing discoveries is the presence of Jewish genetic markers in unexpected populations around the world. For example, in regions of Spain and Portugal, genetic testing has revealed that a significant portion of the population carries Sephardic Jewish ancestry. These are the descendants of Jews who were forced to convert or flee during the Spanish Inquisition. Many of them lived for centuries without even realizing their Jewish heritage. Similarly, studies have found traces of Jewish ancestry in groups as far-flung as the Lemba people of Africa, the Bene Israel of India, and even some communities in South America. These findings further confirm the widespread impact of the Jewish diaspora and the resilience of Jewish identity throughout history. But at the heart of it all, one truth remains. No matter how far Jews were scattered, their history, faith, and very DNA carry the undeniable imprint of Israel. As we unravel the intricate tapestry of Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, one undeniable truth emerges. DNA is not just a scientific tool, it is a key to understanding identity, faith, and history. The question that lingers now is profound. What do these genetic revelations mean for Jewish identity today? How do they shape the connection between Ashkenazi Jews and ancient Israelites? And can science ever truly define what it means to be Jewish? For centuries, Jewish identity has been rooted in faith, tradition, and a deep-seated connection to Israel. Long before DNA testing, Jews across the world upheld their history through scripture, oral traditions, and unwavering devotion to their homeland. The Torah speaks of the Israelites' exile and their eventual return, a prophecy that has echoed in Jewish prayers for generations. Now, science has added another layer to this story. DNA studies have confirmed what history and faith have long suggested, that the Jewish people, including the Ashkenazi Jews, share genetic links with the ancient Israelites. Y-chromosomal DNA studies, which trace the male lineage, reveal striking similarities between Ashkenazi Jews and other Jewish populations from the Middle East, including Sephardic Jews, Mizrahi Jews, and even Samaritans. These genetic markers connect them directly to the Levant, reinforcing their deep ancestral ties to Israel. Jewish identity has never been solely about genetics. It is a fusion of faith, culture, and shared history. Even if a person does not carry Israelite DNA, their Jewishness remains intact if they adhere to Jewish customs, beliefs, and laws. This is why Judaism has thrived for millennia, despite exile, migration, and even forced conversions. Jewish identity is not just inherited, it is lived, practiced, and passed down through generations. With the rise of genetic testing, a heated debate has surfaced. Some argue that DNA evidence should redefine Jewish identity, making ancestry a primary factor in determining one's Jewishness. Others caution against relying too much on science, emphasizing that Jewish identity is rooted in religious and cultural continuity, not just genetics. This debate is particularly intense in Israel, where the law of return grants Jewish individuals the right to citizenship. Some cases have emerged where individuals with Jewish ancestry, but no formal religious ties, have sought recognition. Conversely, there are devoted Jewish converts who, despite lacking Israelite DNA, are fully accepted within the faith. So where does this leave Ashkenazi Jews? Their genetic link to Israel is clear, but their identity goes beyond chromosomes. For centuries, they preserved their traditions, celebrated Jewish festivals, and passed down sacred texts. They faced persecution, exile, and unimaginable suffering, yet their faith remained unshaken. Whether through DNA or devotion, their connection to Israel is undeniable. The Ashkenazi Jewish story is one of resilience. From the Middle Ages to modern times, they faced countless challenges, from pogroms in Eastern Europe to the horrors of the Holocaust. Yet, despite being scattered across the globe, they never lost sight of their heritage. Their prayers always ended with the same longing: next year in Jerusalem. This longing was not just symbolic.
It was embedded in their DNA, both literally and figuratively. Their genetic markers trace back to ancient Israel, proving that even after centuries of exile, the bloodline of the Israelites remained intact. But their connection to Israel was never just about biology. It was about the soul of a people who never forgot where they came from. The establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 was a historic moment, one that many saw as the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Ashkenazi Jews, who had lived in Europe for over 1,000 years, finally had a homeland to return to. The dream of their ancestors, carried through prayers and traditions, had become a reality. Today, Ashkenazi Jews form a significant part of Israel's population. Their contributions to Israeli society, through politics, science, art, and religious scholarship, have been profound. But more than that, their presence in Israel is a testament to survival, faith, and the unbreakable bond between the Jewish people and their land. As genetic research continues to evolve, it will undoubtedly uncover even more about the complex history of the Jewish people. But one thing remains certain: Ashkenazi Jews are deeply connected to Israel, not just through DNA, but through thousands of years of history, faith, and tradition. In the end, Jewish identity is more than a scientific discovery. It is a story of endurance, a testament to faith, and a living connection to Israel. The discoveries we have explored in this journey go beyond mere science. They touch the very essence of identity, faith, and history. The evolving understanding of Jewish ancestry has reshaped the way we see the past, reaffirming the deep connection between Ashkenazi Jews and Israel. DNA has provided answers, but it has also raised profound questions. For centuries, the Jewish people have held on to their traditions, preserving their faith despite persecution, exile, and forced migration. Now, modern genetics confirms what history has long suggested. Their roots remain deeply tied to ancient Israel. The Y chromosomal DNA, the genetic markers, and even the historical records all point in one direction. The land of Israel has always been, and will always be, central to the Jewish story. Yet, as science advances, we continue to uncover new layers of this rich history. What does the future hold? Could there be even more hidden Jewish communities waiting to be rediscovered? And perhaps the biggest question of all, does genetics truly define identity? While DNA tells us where we come from, identity is something greater. It is the shared traditions, the collective memory, and the unwavering faith that binds a people together. For the Ashkenazi Jews, their connection to Israel is not just written in their genes. It is written in their prayers, their history, and their enduring spirit. If you found this journey fascinating, make sure to watch the full video to grasp every detail. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more eye-opening explorations into history and identity. Your support helps us uncover and share more untold stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.